Jim here. How's everybody doing today? I'm doing pretty good. Allergies kicking my butt though, so you're gonna hear like I'm just congested. So yeah, this time of year does happens to me all the time. Anywho, a little bit about the Bigfoot hunt. That is something that was brought to my attention the last 2 years that there's been credible signs or sightings really just south of here and kind of east of here in the woods of Indiana. This is not something that is new. We've had multiple reports or, my grandpa owned a huge, well, 40 plus acres, huge for most people around here that aren't crop farmers. We just had horses, chickens, a couple times cows, a couple times we had pigs, mostly chickens though throughout the entire time that they lived there, and horses later on. But we would hunt and fish and shoot guns there, and that's just our weekend. Mow the yard, big yard at the time, and there were neighbors that would run around telling everybody, hey, we got this going on, or chickens missing, or we would have my grandma would have ducks for the pond, and every now and again they would come up missing, and there would be footprints along the sand. We called the beach of the pond. It was a 3/4 acre pond, so it wasn't small, and that's where we would fish mostly. So you got that going on, and here recently there's been a lot more sightings, um, a lot more activity. But I went out a couple times in the past 2 years. I have not seen anything, but most of the time I just go there. People are tubing down the river and or sitting on the beach. I just be blunt and honest with you. Just I don't have this set up for kids anyway, so I don't have to worry about family friendly. But they're smoking meth or whatever's in their pipe, and you see that, and I'm jillied out anyway, so they can't see me. And if they do see me, he's like, "Oh, did you see that bush? Get up and walk away." And I just laugh. That's all I can do. But anyway, yeah, that's the thing. There's been credible sightings, people who are afraid to make reports, but then again, they do know me, and I do, have knowledge of. I mean, I've been studying cryptids since 1977 when Sasquatch the movie came out. I was heavily into that. I started looking at books on monkeys, apes, primates, whatever. Grover Krantz is a big influence of mine as far as the books that he wrote, and I've been able to read a lot of all his stuff, but a lot of stuff in libraries. So I never really bought the books. They were available to me in libraries, so I read them there and gathered just information up here, what to look for, how to approach something like that, and never show teeth because it's a sign of aggression. That's why I don't smile and go all big with teeth and everything. So even though some women do require that before they date you, I want to make sure I can see all your teeth before I date you, because if there's one missing, I'm not dating you, kind of thing. But I digress. There's a lot of information out there right now telling me that there's a lot going on. So I've talked to a few people who have been just south of here in another county. They camp out a lot, and they would hear weird sounds they've never heard before. They've been there their whole life. I mean, they have pretty good chunk of land, and so they live in a house. But when other family members come in, and they'll go to the back part of the property where there's a level field, which I've been to before, and they've kind of made it into a makeshift campground for just for them. And there's a little creek that runs through there. So when it's good weather, they'll go out and they'll mushroom hunt and camp out if it's warm enough. And but this year's weather's been really spicy. So I'm pretty sure they haven't done anything. But the last couple of years they've noticed that there's been a lot more squealing and oops. And so what they did was they didn't understand or they didn't recognize the sounds anymore from the other animals that they've ran into and were observed. And so they started doing their own research online, and it coincides with some of the Bigfoot stuff. And so that's why I told him, I said, listen, I'll come out there and check it out one of these days. But I've gotten out there before and seen the property and looked at the campground and everything. And they like showing their stuff off. And they said, yeah, that's remember the campground, that's where we were, and we started hearing stuff. And it wasn't on our property. That was kind of on the close to the edge of the property line for them. It was on the other property, but it sounded like it was moving around quite a bit. So they weren't really sure exactly where it was. Each and every time they heard some type of noise, it could have been on their property, it could have been real close to the edge of the property. Might have smelled the food that they were cooking, because they'll have s'mores and weenie roasts or whatever out there. So it's a real fun time for their family and everything, and they're just kind of concerned. So they did touch base with me about 3 weeks ago. I want to say less than a month ago, and they said, "Hey, we'd like for you to come out and look at that. We seen some what looked like footprints, but by the time that rain came through, they've already washed. It's been washed away. Washed away. We had so much rain in the past week that our streets were literally flooded, and we're above a floodplain. We don't. There's no way it should be that bad, because the drains, maybe the drains need to be worked with or something. I know that they've changed a few of them out prior to that, and it still didn't matter. The amount of rain that fell so quickly was unbelievable. I mean, literally. So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing, is going out there and checking that out. Now, I say hunt Bigfoot. I'm not going to kill anything. I'm not shooting my bow. I'm taking it for my own personal protection, but because you can smell gunpowder, gun oil, and other fragrances. And I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I seldom drink any alcohol. I'll flush my whole system out with water for 1 month before I go, and which I've already started doing that. And so I would say before the end of May, I will have made at least one recon on that property, which I have permission to do. So we'll see. But it's weather pending. Whether we get to a good point where I can get at least a week of dry weather, so that way I'm not really treading around in mud and muck, because I'll be there for at least a 24-hour period if I want to hear anything, and I'll have to stay stationary and be very quiet and let everything walk past me, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there'll be other animals there, so on and so forth. They do have coyotes. I've hunted coyotes on that property before, and they picked off a few skunks and raccoons and whatnot because of their habits of getting in their chicken coop and whatnot, and possums and so on. It's long story short, it's pretty abundant with wildlife out that way. So that would attract something of a predatory animal to have, some type of food source. They do have apple orchard real close to there. I can't think of the name of that one. And there's plenty of livestock throughout that area, horse farms, dairy cows, pigs for sure, and then of course deer. So there's quite a bit through that area. So me explaining that to you is, just so that you understand, I'm not really going to kill anything. I'll probably just, take my night vision and a GoPro or something, and then work on that to get, everything lined up to where I can see at night, especially with the GoPro. So if there is any contact, we definitely get a couple good pictures or videos of whatever it is that they're hearing, hooping and hollering, because I don't know that they recorded it. It was really faint on their phone, and they sent me a voice message with that. And I mean, it does sound like kind of sort of something that you hear if you hear a Bigfoot sound, because of other people on the Northwest doing their Bigfoot hunts, and they do vocalizations is what it's called. And so you see those and you're just like, wow, yeah, that's pretty similar. So we'll see. Just subscribe and like, make sure you guys share with your friends. That way we can get enough people involved maybe to donate. I'll put the link in the description of this video so that way you guys can look at that if you want to and see what's up. Excuse me, allergies. It's starting to dry out there. I don't talk that much, so my voice goes. But anyway, you guys get your like, share, and subscribe in, and that way you can be updated when we actually do this. And check out the other combat archery videos I do. We're going to be doing some other videos to where we actually show you what it's like to shoot in certain types of attire, medieval attire, or some type of armor. And we're going to shoot some more zombies over here. You can't see it, but he's down there in his Roman helmet. And I'm going to put my my segmata armor on there, segmented armor, so that way we can shoot arrows into that with a heavier bow. I'm going to have a much heavier bow here shortly on the channel. It'd be an American-made recurve bow, so that way I don't have to worry about paying all that tariff stuff from China. I'd rather have, not that I'd rather have, I'd like to have a couple of Yaras or Imperial heavy bows from Alibo, but with the information they put on their website now, you guys are going to be paying out the wazoo for something. So especially with the tariffs, because they ain't getting here anytime soon. They pretty much make those to order, and they don't put too many of them in stock. I wish they would put about 5 or 10 of everything on Amazon shop, so that way it's like 2 day ship and we get it fairly quickly, especially the heavy bows. But they don't put heavy bows on Amazon. So I will be dressed in this when I go. It is very, very lightweight. As far as the other ghillie suit goes, it's way heavier, and it's going to be a lot warmer this year. So forecast wise, we're going to be getting into some very warm, and it's supposed to be kind of wet. So if we get a good week of solid, no rain, then I'll definitely be able to jump on that, because then it'll be a lot easier, less ticks, and so on and so forth. And I don't want to get that meat allergy because I'm a meat eating fool. Anyway, I like steak, big tomahawk steaks. I'll show you how to make those one of these days. I'll throw a little video on here, show you how we cook our food. All right. Anyway, you guys stay safe, stay alive, subscribe, like, look at the links in the description. Check out the merch store. You don't have to buy anything if you don't want to, but you can go ahead and check out the stuff. Tell me what you think. What would you like to see in there? We don't do archery equipment. We're just doing swag, but eventually we're going to have a point of sale and get some bows and arrows and arrowheads in there, so that way people can go and learn to shoot archery combat. Remember, this is budget archery. I'm still going to change the name to Jim's Combat Archery, but it's still going to be a budget archery type channel. We're going to do the very inexpensive bows, so that way you can get into the combat archery mode. So see you soon.